Okay, welcome back to my Programming in ARM Assembly video series. And in this video series, we're trying to create a general purpose random number generator. Let's get back into the code. Okay, so in the previous video, we pretty much finalized everything that we needed to do in order to make this work properly. I updated the driver code so that it would generate 10 random numbers, and we ensured that if the range was invalid, that we would get an error of some kind. But the other thing that we can still do before totally closing this out is making sure that we return an error if there's some problem opening the file, reading the file, or closing the file. So I think that's the very last thing that we need to check. So let's go ahead and add in some code for that now. So let's say test for error. And I believe, from what I read, the way this works is that when you try to open a file, if there's a problem doing that, register 0 will get updated with a negative number. So after trying to open the file, we will compare register 0 with the immediate value 0, and we will move, if less than, we will move into register 1. Now I have to think about this because I swapped which register was doing which thing, so let me check. Yeah, register 1 will contain the error code. So we'll move into register 1, the immediate value -2 if there was a problem opening the file. And the reason I'm using the value -2 is because we already used the value -1 up here. So we're saying -1 indicates a range error, and -2 will indicate a -2 will indicate a problem opening the file. Okay, so then we will branch if less than into the error section. And notice up here I'm doing less than or equal to and less than or equal to, and that's because we could potentially, I want to consider 0 as an error when we're comparing the range, because if you give a minimum number of 10 and a maximum number of 10, then 10 minus 10 is 0. And I'm going to say that's an error. Whereas down here, I'm only going to do strictly less than, because from what I've read, if you open a file and it generates an error, it will be strictly less than 0. Okay, so then I'm just going to copy this idea, and we're going to do that after trying to read the file, and we'll update the code to say -3. I'm not 100% sure if I need to check register 0 in this case, but we'll go with it for now. And then the same thing after closing a file. We will test for the error after closing a file, and we'll return -4, just, the next number, just -1, 2, 3, 4, keep it simple. And that's the end of our error conditions. So let's check to make sure we're doing this right. So then we branch down here to the error, and then we move into register 0, the immediate value 0. And the reason that we're doing that is because we've said that in the case of an error, we will make sure that the random number just returns 0 instead of potentially some uninitialized memory. And then we're going to branch down to the exit, or not branch, but we'll fall into the exit and be done. Okay, so I think that's good. So the only other thing I'm going to do here is just update this these notes at the top, and I'm just going to say on error R1 will contain ... and then we'll say -1 if there was a range error, -2 if there was a problem opening file name, -3 if there was a problem reading file name, and -4 if there was a problem spelling, problem closing file name. Okay, and I think we're good there. Now, to be honest, I don't actually know how to test an error reading the file. I know how to test an error opening the file, so we'll test for that again, because I think we already did that in like video 2. But we'll go ahead and check that again. Let me quit out of here. Let's go back into our driver code and let's set up some additional errors. So let's do range message, and let's say, what do we have? Range, we have open message, read message. These are the error names. Close message. That's just what I'm going to call them. So we'll have ASCIIs, and we'll say error opening file. And then down here we will have ASCIIs, and we'll say error reading file. And then down here we'll have error closing file. And then this one will say range error. Range error, like that. Okay, now let's update our driver code. And all right, let's see. So we're gonna have to change the way we're doing this now. So we'll compare R1 with the immediate value -1, and then we'll say move if equal into R1 range message, and then branch if equal to the error section of our code. And then we're going to do that for these other comparisons as well, just to demonstrate as well as we can all the different ideas here. So then we'll, if -2, we'll display the open message error. -3 will display the read message error. And finally, -4 will display the close message error. Although again, I'm not actually sure how to test some of these error conditions. So let me just check the logic here. 1 second. So compare R1, which is now returning the error code, and then move if equal, move the memory address of the range message into R1, and so on and so on. And then finally, when we get down here to the error section, we will just branch and link to print, because print will have already been loaded with the appropriate message by that point. All right, let's test this. So let's write this out, let's quit, and let's make the code all kinds of problems here. What did I do wrong? Oh right, I'm doing move instead of load. This should be load if equal. Load if equal. Load if equal. And load if equal, not move. All right, so let's clear, make, and right now I think it should run normally. And it does. Okay, let's test the range error. So let's say that our min is higher than our max. Let's clear, let's make, clear, and run. We should get our range error, and we do. All right, let's make sure now that our range is okay. So let's try 1 to 20. And now let's try to purposely give it a bad file name. So we'll just make it called urando. So now we should get a error opening file. And we do. And yeah, like I said, I'm not actually sure what I can do to test those other conditions. So if anybody has an idea on that, leave a comment down below, and maybe I'll do a follow-up video. But I don't know how to test having a problem reading the file, because once the file's open, that means you obviously have permission to read it. And like I said, I think in one of the earlier videos, in the past I've tried to open the file, and then while that file was open in the code, I would then go delete that file and then try to make it force like a read or close error. But interestingly enough, it didn't force a read error or a close error. So yeah, I'm not quite sure how to test those conditions, but we'll leave those tests in there just so that we're accounting for that possibility. All right, so what? I don't remember changing anything. Why is it telling me? Oh, right, because I fixed the file name. Okay, so one other thing I want to make sure of is that the I to A function should be able to handle negative numbers. So let's test. I don't know why we would want to generate random numbers in the negative range, but let's try it. So let's say that we want to generate a random number between -10 and -1. Let's make and clear and run. And yep, I see -1, 2, 3, -3, and -10. So we're hitting the upper end and the lower end. Let me do this again. Let's try a coin flip in the negative range. And yep, -1, -2, -1, -2. Yeah, again, I don't really know that there would be a very good reason to do such a thing, but it's good to know that it's possible. And let's try between 0 and 1. And we're getting 0, we're getting 1. Okay, so I feel like it's working. I feel like this random number generator is doing pretty well what we want. I'm not sure what the maximum values are that we're allowed to pass in. I do know that I can't pass in a value greater than 65,536 as an immediate value to these registers, even though they will hold larger values than that. But let's try 65,536. I believe that's the highest number we can pass in as an immediate value. Okay, and then main, and yeah, we should get numbers all over the place at this point. Kind of just eyeballing it, trying to see if we hit numbers like double digits or triple digits. I probably would need to run this. So there's a triple digit number. And yeah, it's a little hard to make sure when you're only testing 10 numbers at a time. I'll need to set this up, like build some driver code for the random number generator to run like 1,000,000 times or something, and then have it save the lowest and save the highest each time. That way I can kind of try to make sure we're getting, you know, all through the range there. Let me just double check this. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that if I go even one number higher, it will fail to build. Yeah, for some reason, even though the register itself can hold a much larger value than that, that's the highest number that you can load in as an immediate value. Let's try 65,530 or 30, just to have like random numbers coming in at a very high range. Clear that out. Main, yeah. Okay, I feel like it's working. I think there was one more thing I wanted to check, but now it's escaping me. But for now, let me just go ahead and reset this back to a range that makes a little bit more sense, like 1 to 100. And I think we can fit more than 10 on the screen at a time, so let me do like 25. And let's make that clear and run. Yeah. Okay. So let me just take one final look at randomS, make sure I don't have any stray comments or that I don't have any odd spacing anywhere, at least nothing I can see quickly with the eye. So I feel like it's pretty good. All right, I'm going to say that we are done with the random number generator general purpose function, although as soon as I stop recording, I'll probably remember something else. But assuming that's not the case, I'm just going to call it a win, and we're going to be done with this one. If you made it all the way to the end of the video series, thank you so much for watching. I'm not sure what, if anything, I will do next, but I hope to see you in any future videos that may be made. Thank you so much for watching.